Modern Spider-Man comics make me sad. Not in that incredible way where you read a book so profoundly human that it shakes you to your core, exposes your humanity. I mean, more like when a family member tells you they don't love you. Or, you know, dropping your ice cream. The blatant lack of care with Peter Parker and his cast is disheartening. It's depressing. When you're a lifelong Spider-Man fan, his victories are your victories. His pain is your pain. And that's good. Spider-Man should have troubles in his way. He should have obstacles to overcome. But when his life is just a constant misery fest, it's depressing. Pete's life isn't supposed to be a long misery fest of never-ending suffering. He's allowed to evolve and change and grow. Back in the day, Peter Parker's life seemed to have a clear trajectory. He started in high school. After a few years, he graduated. He went to college for some time. And after that time, he went to grad school. He was with Gwen and he was going to marry her in college, but she died and Peter grew and moved on. After a long history of on-again, off-again relationships with Mary Jane and Black Cat, Pete finally settled down with Mary Jane and they lived happily. Until one more day. Spider-Man, for as long as I can remember, has been a source of joy and escape from an otherwise troublesome upbringing. Spider-Man inspired me, told me to keep going, to persevere. Spider-Man was my hero, and his stories, though fraught with obstacle, were ultimately optimistic and hopeful for the future. It made me optimistic and hopeful for the future. It told me that you are greater than what you suffer, that you can overcome these obstacles. There's always hope. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. They carried with them the idea that no matter what Pete went through, there was always a light. But the older I get, the more of Spider's history I'm seeing play out in real time as it unfolds. The more beaten down and saddened I am by it. It used to be, whatever happened to Peter, at the end of the day, there were people to fight for. There were people who he loved and who loved him as much as he loved them. There was always somebody to come home to. There was a promise of a future with someone he shared a love with beyond any hurdle, beyond anything he could go through, beyond any darkness. There was a love with Mary Jane. Even excluding One More Day in the Spider marriage, there's always been a sense of backtracking and treading water in modern Spider-Man. When was the last time Peter had a life-changing decision to make that actually carried through with him into the future of ongoing stories? Like long-term. If Spider-Man is always miserable, then reading Spider-Man is miserable. In the Nick Spencer run of Amazing Spider-Man, like issue 1, Pete and MJ were back together seriously for the first time since One More Day, since 2007. Over 10 years, 11 at that point. Fans were elated, myself included. For the first time in over a decade, there was a real hope for the future. And a chance that after years of being teased and jerked around with 100 false starts, one of the biggest mistakes in Spider-Man history was finally going to be undone. And we might finally get some catharsis. It was not to last. Over a multi-year run of stories, we're giving a healthy, functioning relationship in Spider-Man's life for the first time in ever, and one with Mary Jane. Unfortunately, she spent some of that time in Los Angeles during her own miniseries, but there was still that undeniable joy and that comfort in their lives, in that of the readers, that they were secure and they were happy, and that they brought some sort of completion to each other's lives. But happiness and character progression are strictly forbidden at Marvel editorial. At the beginning of the Beyond event, Ben Reilly again got to take up the reins of Spider-Man and demonstrate why he's an incredible character and hero. Finally redeeming himself after the events of the clone conspiracy years prior. A character who was repeatedly beaten down and neglected over years of storytelling finally got to be the hero he was meant to be. After so many disappointments and mistreatments, a symbol of decency and self-sacrifice would finally get to earn his place on the throne after 25 years of absence and abuse. Ben Reilly would get to be Spider-Man. That too was not to be. Instead of either having Peter retire and Ben take up the reins of Spider-Man, even if it wasn't permanent, or having them be co-Spider-Man, which is a thing that already exists in the form of Miles Morales and Peter Parker, Otto Octavius and Peter Parker during the second volume of Superior Spider-Man, which is a whole other can of worms. At the end of the Beyond event, Ben gets mind-wiped and dissolved in a bunch of nano bullshit. Now he gets to be the villain again, 6 months after we undid all the horseshit to begin with. Yay! Why redeem a character from villainy just to make him a villain again for no reason? Then, if that wasn't enough, Pete and MJ move in together and Peter plans to propose. Holy crap. Here we go. The entire multi-year arc has been leading to this moment. To curing the cancer of stagnation that has infected the body of this beloved franchise. The next issue of Amazing Spider-Man picks up with a new #1 and a single depressed Peter Parker, hated by everybody in his personal and superhero lives for some sin he committed 6 months ago that we have no idea of. Not only are we back to square one, we're further back than we've been in a long time. I'm talking like 15 years back. 15 years of storytelling and progress. Wiped. All that undone, everything lost. At least in the 2000s, we still had some supporting cast. But now, none of them want anything to do with Peter. What a mess. There can be no investment in story if there is no destination, no progress. It's abusive writing. Being the custodian of something with such a broad and profound global impact, such as Spider-Man, comes with a great responsibility. If you're going to set up a story like Kindred or What Did Peter Do, then it has to be thoroughly planned out in advance, and you have to be careful not to step on the toes of other ongoing stories or character relationships. However, what these have been are profoundly undercooked, stretched out beyond belief, unsatisfying, underwhelming stunts that are more interested in the bullshit mystery than providing a complete, well-rounded story. There is a reason people still talk about the end of Fight Club or Memento. But even hardcore Spider-Man fans forgot about Kindred immediately after it ended. Ben Reilly, the Ultimate Universe, Superior Spider-Man, no arc can be complete, no story can conclude, no development can be allowed to stand. We are cursed as a reader base to forever push a boulder uphill, only for it to roll back down at the end. I feel like I'm witnessing the slow death, something I love.
softly spoken, with no strings tying you to me. I'm happy in your company with no emotion, 'cause my love deserves to be free. I never wanna look at a house in the garden, I never wanna lock you down. I know you're not mine, it's just my turn, but we can still have fun for now.